welcome back to Consultant's Corner. I'm Rebecca Brizi. This is my corner. I am a consultant. Today we have listener mail. Yay! Just kidding, we don't get mail, but we do get comments, and in the comments I recently got a request for a video on how to keep in touch, get noticed, and then keep in touch with people, for example, on LinkedIn, as a way to get a job, whether a client, whether employment, and that's what we're addressing today. This is where we give value to that distinction between being an entrepreneur and being entrepreneurial. You'll find that a lot of the same approaches, ideas, attitudes apply for a person trying to make connections for employment as for a person trying to make connections for clients, for growing their business. A few rules of thumb for creating these connections and maintaining these connections. First of all, approach people as equals. You don't have to go in fawning over somebody. I mean, first of all, the more influential the person, then the more other people there are out there telling that person, you're so great, I admire you, I've been following you for years, I'd love to work together. Those are good messages and flattering to the person involved, but there's nothing original there, and there certainly is nothing of value. I want you to approach people as equals, to say, you're smart, you're good at this thing, I'm smart and I'm good at this thing. Let's talk about where these things connect. If it's on LinkedIn, then look at what posts they're sharing. Are they sharing articles? Comment on those. Are they commenting on other people's posts? Get involved in those discussions. Send out a LinkedIn request and use the message to say why you want to connect. I want to talk to you about this. I want to share ideas about this. I admire your work in this area and I want to learn more about something or other. So that when that person accepts your connection, you can follow that right up to say, do you have 20 minutes for a Zoom meeting on that particular topic? Approach people as equals, whether you know them or don't, whether you're cold contacting them or using somebody who knows them for an introduction. And that's the second thing, is how are you approaching people at all? If you are cold contacting them, see previous few minutes of video. But see if you have connections in common and if it's appropriate to ask for an introduction. You have a connection on LinkedIn, we're sticking with the LinkedIn example, and that connection is connected to person X. You want to connect to person X, so you're asking your friend or connection for an introduction. I hear people say, make sure first that your friend knows person X well enough to provide the introduction. I think of it the other way around. Make sure that you and your connection are close enough to ask for the introduction. The reason being that if your connection thinks highly of you, then they will be glad to provide the introduction, because if you make a good impression, it reflects well upon them. So that's much more important than how well your connection knows person X. That's entirely secondary. They're connected on LinkedIn. I don't care if they've never met at all. The fact that they are following one another allows your connection to reach out to person X. But what's in it for your connection? Well, what's in it is to make a really good impression if they know that you're going to make a good impression. See how that chain of reputation works? If you're asking for an introduction, go through the people who know you well, who trust you, who respect you, who think highly of you, and who will find benefit in putting you in front of somebody that they know. But the viewer question was also about keeping in touch. How do you do that without seeming pushy? The easiest way to do it without seeming pushy is to always have something to say. And that's not easy at all. So I tricked you on that one. The first time you connect with somebody, ask for a meeting to talk about what you do. I want to hear more about this particular thing. I want to tell you about this other thing, but know why. You have to know what's in it for them in particular, obviously for you too. Before you go into that call, try to articulate what's in it for that person. That's what they care about. Prepare for that meeting. Don't just go into it and ad lib it. Prepare. Know what you're going to get out of it. Know what information you're going to share with the other person. And most important of all, know what questions you're going to ask. An intelligent question has more value than an intelligent answer. Ask good questions. Ask them about their work. Ask them about their history. Ask them about their clients. Ask them about how they make decisions. What are their plans for the coming quarter or 6 months? What do they wish they had done over the last quarter or 6 months? What is the greatest accomplishment of the last year? What do they hope to replicate or grow over the next year? Think about the context in which you're approaching them and ask probing questions. Remember that people like to talk about themselves. They like to talk about their work. They're proud to share their accomplishments. Give them the space to do that. If you are approaching somebody as a potential employee, then ask those questions about the business, but also show that you've done your homework. I really admire how your business closed this deal or developed this product or targets these specific clients. How did you come to decide that? Tell me about the development there. How are you going to develop it further? What do you wish you'd known before you started? What really surprised you about this process? Questions about the past, questions about the present, questions about the future. Insert yourself in the person's value chain. What is it that they need to get done, and where can you add value? Now, that might not all happen in the first phone call, or the first phone call is only one step in an ongoing relationship. So back to the original question of, once that's done, how do you keep in touch? For one thing, when you end your previous meeting, set up the expectation. Say, this was great, thank you so much. If we don't speak before, I'll reach out again in the next quarter to have a follow-up meeting. Whether it's a temporal milestone or a different type of milestone, set up the expectation right away. Mention in the meeting, this is when we're going to talk again. I'd like to talk to you again about this thing. And then do it. Don't make a promise you're not going to keep. If it is a temporal milestone, then what is the subject matter? How do you realistically keep in touch? Share your news. Ask about their news. Try to probe into their news. Check their press releases, check their website, check their LinkedIn profile. See if you can find something that they've talked about that you can use as the basis for the communication. And once again, when you go into that second meeting, third meeting, or contact, or conversation, or email, whatever it is, always ask yourself what's in it for that other person. Make sure that you're not losing focus of this other person has to find this connection compelling, otherwise there's no point. Always be asking yourself what's in it for them. Remember that you're creating a relationship. So I want to close here with something I said right at the beginning, which is approach this person as an equal. Don't feel that you're going in begging for a job or that you have to live up to a certain expectation. You are equals. You have something to share with one another. You have a value exchange opportunity here. That's how I want you to approach this. Don't be afraid to reach out. Don't be afraid to connect, and don't be afraid to keep in touch. That's your starting point, is approach all of this thinking about the relationship, the value in it to you, the value in it to the other person, and what it means to create a relationship, not just a contact, not just a connection. Give that some thought. Write that out for yourself. Rough draft, but full sentences saying, this is why it's valuable for me to connect with this person, and this is why it would be valuable for that person to connect with me. That's your starting point to any relationship and to any connection. Do that homework, think it over, come back to me and let me know what's the next question. Where's the next point at which you think you're running into an obstacle or a challenge that you're not sure how to solve? Let me know. We're going to workshop this whole thing together, and I'll see you back here at the next video. Bye now.